Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, December 30th, 2019. I am Dave Biddle. Very happy to be joined by Bill Bank Greene. Bank, let's look back on heartbreaking loss a couple nights ago. Clemson 29, Ohio State 23. Plenty of blame to go around. Ohio State has plenty of blame for themselves. I thought the replay official was out to lunch. Man, the bottom line is it's going to take a while to get over that one. 29-23, just your thoughts on the game 2 nights ago, Bank.
Yeah, I was impressed with, Ryan Day, just how well they were prepared. That team came out ready for war. And that's sometimes you wonder about, a team's ready to go. Are they nervous? Is the stage too big for them? Ohio State took the fight to Clemson. I thought they had Clemson reeling. I thought Ohio State was doing things that Clemson had no clue was coming. Could have blown them out. Game could have been over. There's always a point in a game where even if it's a great team, that great team can crack and you can panic. You really see it a lot in the NCAA basketball tournament where you'll see a favored team get down by 10, 12 in the second half, and they start to panic because they know, these are one-and-done games and could be season over. And I thought Clemson was near that point. 16-0 was not quite time to panic, but boy, if you could have got that thing 24-0, 20-0, who knows then? You start to do things as a player that, normally don't do because you think the season's going to end. And, like I said, I think the field goals early really came back to bite them, where they could have put that game away in the first half, and there wouldn't have been the drama in the second half. But 60-minute game. Clemson's got a championship pedigree, championship coaching staff, and they did what they had to do to get themselves back in that game. And I thought, Ohio State going into the locker room at 16-14, like before the game, would you have taken a 2-point lead at the half? Absolutely. But once the game unfolded, I thought Ohio State had to be disappointed at the half being up 2, and Clemson had to be thrilled beyond belief to be within 2 points after the way they got hit in the mouth early. So, props to Ryan Day and his staff. That team was ready to ball. That team was, definitely prepared. So you learn from it as a staff and as players, and you come back next year and you go back there and you beat someone. That's the theme for me from this. I think that's how Ryan Day is going to approach that with his guys.
Yeah, you can't kick field goals against a team like Clemson when you've got when you're in the red zone. It's one thing if it's a long field goal. When you're in the red zone, you've got to cash those in at least a majority of them for touchdowns. So that was disappointing. The replay official, though, I don't know what this guy was thinking. Now the ejection on Shaun Wade, maybe by the letter of the law, was the right call. That was a tough break. What I want to talk about is the catch, fumble, and return for a touchdown that even have officiating experts are coming out, saying that definitely should have stayed. It should have been, the call on the field was correct. They should have stayed with the field. Call on the field, it should have been touchdown Ohio State. And there might not be a tighter fraternity than officials. Like they don't speak out against each other. I don't know what this guy was thinking. It'd be one thing if the call on the field was incomplete pass. I still would have disagreed with him not overturning it. Like it should have been a touchdown regardless. But if the call on the field was, it was one thing, he's not going to overturn it, fine. For him to take the call on the field and to change it, I'm still 2 days later, I'm still wondering what the hell he was thinking.
That's a missed call. That's a blown call, and I don't think there's any gray area there. The Shaun Wade call, I agree with you on that. By the absolute, 100% letter of the law, when you're in a 65-mile-an-hour zone and you're going 66, can you get a ticket? I guess you can. Would I have thrown Shaun Wade out of that game? There's no way if I was a replay official. I think, you got to take in the moment. You're in a national championship semifinal game. You get to watch that play over 10, 12 times, slow motion, fast motion. There's no malice there. There was no intent to do anything. It was a football play. So as a replay official, like a state patrolman, can you allow some leeway there? You probably didn't see it, but there was the same situation in the first game. Did you see the targeting call on Radley Hines from Oklahoma?
I sure did, yeah. I sure did.
Okay,
I was able to
now
watch the
that
first half of the game from my hotel room
yeah,
before heading on over to that disaster of a stadium in the desert.
that was a headhunter play. It was not a football play. He actually let the quarterback run for a first down because he wanted to hit Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Hit him in the head. It was a horrible play. There was a part of me that kind of hated to see that guy thrown out of the game because it's a big game. It's championship. But, you know, I thought they did the right thing there. Shaun Wade, I mean, I thought that was, I guess if you're a strict letter by the law guy, then you got to throw him out. But
yeah.
I hate the rule. I've hated that rule. They haven't gotten this rule right since they instituted it. You can watch games week by week, game by game, year after year, and it's called differently every time. Everybody looks at it differently. I think it needs to be reworked. The fumble after the catch, I mean, I can't believe it. If you had 100 unbiased people look at that play and tell you, you know, how did they see it, I would think 95 or 99 would say, well, that's a catch. If that play had occurred in the end zone, okay, Dabo Swinney would have went berserk, you know, saying that it was a catch and it's a touchdown. So, I mean, it's a blown call. It's an egregious blown call. I don't think there's any gray area there. I mean, I think it's black and white. It's a missed call. And,
yeah, it's even,
you know, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, Bank, and to me it's even worse than a blown call because I give officials a pass on – you get mad in a moment. When guys are going full speed and, you know, some of the best athletes in the world, huge guys are going full speed, if you miss something, you know, in live time, okay, you know, we would all do that. When you have the benefit of replay, no excuse. Now, here's what makes it even worse, in my opinion. It wasn't just a blown call. It wasn't just a blown replay call. He changed the call on the field, and the call on the field was absolutely correct. The only irrefutable evidence was the call on the field was correct. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this guy, he's incompetent at best. I don't even want to say what he is at worst. I mean, I just don't even know what he's thinking. There's a blown call, and then there's changing the call on the field. That makes it even worse, in my opinion.
No, I agree. I mean, it went against what replay is all about and the way replay is supposed to work. I mean, he totally went against the grain there. You know, it has to be obvious to overturn a call. And they, you know, and that was not, it was obvious that it was a catch to me. So, I don't know, Dave, you know, this will be discussed for the next, you know, how many years? I mean, it's a blown call. It's a miss.
Yeah. Yep, and Ohio State has their share of blame, but yeah, I'm with you. They could have had a chance to really put that game away. They've been getting the ball back at leading 16-0 after the Shaun Wade sack. Instead, that basically is a turnover. Shaun Wade gets kicked out of the game. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you about the targeting call too. I wrote a lot about this. Yeah, if a guy's trying to take somebody's head off, like he's Vontaze Burfict running around out there, and he's trying to take somebody's head off, the call should be subjective. If a guy is headhunting, kick him out of the game. If it's a glancing blow and you want to go let it off, fine. But don't kick him out of the game. Give him like a yellow card, you know, then the second one, kick him out of the game. Shaun Wade should not have been kicked out of that football game. Think about any sport. This is for you, Bill, and for all the listeners out there. Think about any sport you can think of. Now think about what it takes in that sport to get kicked out of a game, to get ejected from an athletic contest. Usually you're like throwing a punch at a player or an official if you're an Eastern Michigan quarterback. That's usually what it takes to get kicked out of a you know, or if you're a baseball game, you say the wrong thing to an umpire, you know, something like that. Maybe the wrong thing about his mother. I mean, for Shaun Wade to get kicked out of a game like that, it's just, that rule is insane.
Well, even like you say, if it's a baseball game and it's in mid-June between the Tigers and the Indians, the word you say is probably going to get you kicked out. If it's a sixth game of the World Series and you're in the eighth inning, you're going to get a lot of leeway before they're going to kick a manager or a player out of that game. You got to take into account where you're at. This was not, you know, Ohio State versus Akron on the, you know, week 3 of the season and a 51-0 blowout. This is a championship game, and you got to look at that. And once you watch that thing, I don't know, once is all it took for me, but once you watch it 9 or 10 times, that was a great football play by Shaun Wade. He did what he's coached to do. The kid leans down. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, 6'6", he was aiming for his numbers like he's supposed to. The guy leans in, and it's helmet to helmet. It happens. It's football. I mean, Dave, I promise you, in a 120-play game, there is a helmet-to-helmet contact on every single play somewhere on that field, mostly in the line play. It happens.
Right.
It's unavoidable. So once you watch that thing 4 or 5 times, and you know that this is a huge game and it's a huge moment. I mean, do you cut the guy slack or do you follow letter of the law? You know, it's traveling on Michael Jordan gets called in December when they're playing the Bucks. It may not get called in the 7th game when there's a minute to go. You know what I mean? You have to know the situation. You have to know where you're at. And you have to know that the call you're making, how is this going to impact the rest of the football game? And if Shaun Wade had punched Trevor Lawrence or kicked him, throw him out. But when he makes a football play, and it's almost unavoidable on either part. I mean, I couldn't have done it. As a replay official, before I take someone out of a championship game, it's going to have to be just one of the most horrible things you could do on the field. But, I mean, what can you say? I mean, letter of the law, it's helmet to helmet, and I guess, I don't know. What are you going to do? It's over.
Yeah, I guess we're just going to bitch about it on a podcast. That's all we can do right now. What's crazy is the Shaun Wade play was only his second worst call of the night. It's just, and I love your analogy with, state highway patrolman can pull you over going 66 and a 65, but he never would, especially not on Christmas Day. You know what I mean? And
right.
It's unbelievable. And then we're never going to know the explanation. But I would love to hear from this guy because that was just as bad as it gets. But let's move on. Obviously, we know Jeff Hafley is leaving the program. We've known that for a while. Now we know Mike Yurcich is leaving. We have been hearing that. That was made official yesterday. I've heard from somebody I trust profusely, and I know we have other staff members that have also heard this, so we have multiple sources on this, that Ryan Day basically told Mike Yurcich to look around. So I know Texas fans are mad that I put that out there. That's just what I'm hearing. Sometimes the truth hurts. And let's get into who might replace them. Jeff Hafley, probably Kerry Combs. That's what I'm hearing. I want you to address that if you're hearing that. And are you hearing it's so early yet. I haven't heard any names who might replace Yurcich. Are you hearing anything on that front? Just talk about who might replace Hafley and Yurcich.
Yeah, with Hafley, the Kerry Combs things make so much sense, mainly because we're not hearing anything. If it were another college coach, I think something would have leaked out. The colleges all interview each other. They don't care if there's a championship game coming. So with the NFL, it's different, man. You don't mess with the NFL coaches until their season's over. It could happen back channel-wise with Ohio State and Kerry Combs' agent. And we're not hearing a thing, which makes me think it is an NFL coach. And, boy, Kerry Combs makes so much sense. And it's probably going to come down to Kerry. I mean, he left Ohio State for a reason. He didn't get forced out. He wasn't fired. He walked out of Ohio State for a reason. Now, if he's totally happy working for Vrabel, being in the NFL, being able to play golf in June instead of going to these stupid camps and swallowing dust every day, then he's going to stay in the NFL. But, if he wants to come back to college and maybe he misses the recruiting because he was so good at it, that to me just makes so much sense. You give him a nice bump in pay. You make him the co-defensive coordinator with Greg Madison. And that makes so much sense to me. With Yurcich, I mean, it's so fresh and so new that I don't know. I don't think this came as a surprise, to Ryan Day. Like you say, there's reports out there that they asked him to go. I was never told that they asked him to go. I was told that Mike Yurcich is not happy being – his role at Ohio State. He thought his role was leading for him to be the true offensive coordinator, the sole play caller. Well, with Ryan Day and Kevin Wilson around, it's going to always be sort of a compromise between 3 guys. There's not going to be one guy there. And I heard he was not happy about that and didn't see a path where he was the true offensive coordinator running the offense. And I don't blame the guy. If your career goal is to be a head coach or to be a sole offensive coordinator, then, go look around. And I think it just wasn't a good fit. I mean, I don't think when, it gets reported that Ryan Day encouraged him to look around, I don't think it's because, Mike Yurcich is doing anything wrong necessarily. And I think the guy's got a great reputation as a quarterback coach and an offensive mind. So it's just in philosophy. Yurcich wants to go to point from A to B, and Ryan Day, Ryan Day's job is to win national championships. It's not to further anyone's career in that team, whether you're a player or a coach. Ryan Day's obligation is to the Ohio State University to win a national title. So if there's a difference in philosophy there, you got to move on. That's the way it goes. No different than Tate Martell or Joe Burrow. Difference in philosophy there. I don't want to be a backup. I want to start. Okay, then you got to move on. So, it makes a lot of sense to me that, you're either all in with our program, and if, your program means more to you than our program, then you got to go.
Yeah, I'm surprised Yurcich was ever confused. Ryan Day was up front with everybody, including the media, that I will be the play caller. Coach Day, are you sure? Is there any room for a negotiation there? No, I'm going to be the play caller, period. He didn't say it like that. He's such a nice guy, but it was like, no, he's going to be the play caller. There was never any ambiguity there. It was always going to be Ryan Day. All right, let's get into some recruiting. What recruits are still on Ohio State's board for 2020? They still in on Jahmyr Gibbs. Just what can you tell us on maybe any of the few remaining targets they have for this 2020 class?
Yeah, Gibbs is the guy. They want him. They want another running back. They've loved this guy for a while now. He is committed to Georgia Tech. I'm told it's not out of the realm that he sticks with Georgia Tech, which, kind of shocks the heck out of me, but he is a homebody. I was told if Georgia would offer that, he would go there in a spot that they are not going to offer. They're going to get Zach Evans, and, so he's out at Georgia. It's not going to happen. Florida, Alabama kind of snooping around. I think Ohio State's got a great shot. I think when they get him, he's already been there once for an unofficial. He comes back for an official, spends a lot of time there, gets the academic presentation, hangs out with the coaches, the players. I think that can make a difference for him. If Urban were still the head coach, he won these every time. When he got a guy to come back for that second visit, I didn't care if they were committed to Alabama or where they were committed to, he would win that one. So we'll see what they can do. I think Gibbs, it makes a lot of sense. I also think they, I think they know Shaun Wade is gone, and I think they need, they lost Clark Phillips. You got to get another cornerback. Whether it's a 5-star, 4-star stud, or you just bring in a guy that, maybe not on plan A, plan B, but it's a guy that maybe you can develop, maybe you can work with, maybe he becomes something. And if he doesn't, then he goes in the portal and he goes to YSU or Akron in a couple of years and you replace him. But I do think they're going to add a DB, and I think they would love to add a running back. I don't think they'll reach for a running back like they might have to for a DB, though. Now, if there's a monster pass rusher out there that didn't sign or wants to come to Ohio State, I think they would take him too. Don't think they'll reach there either. And then the portal's going to explode here, Dave, in the next week. Now that once these bowl games start to get over, and you may find the next Jonah Jackson in that portal, where a lot of us hadn't heard much of Jonah last year. We sure know him now. So maybe you find the next cornerback, Jonah Jackson, who's playing on a losing team right now, not ready to go in the NFL, has one more year to go, and doesn't want to lose. He wants to play in winning games. I think Jonah Jackson probably had the greatest year of his life this year. So they might look for a guy like that in the defensive backfield.
Yeah, absolutely, and Ryan Day's proven. He can land recruits, coaches, and transfers very, very well with Fields and Jonah Jackson this past season. Where would the 2019 Buckeyes been without Fields and Jackson? All right, let's look ahead to 2021 recruiting. Buckeyes already with 6 commitments in that class. Very early, they were the number 2 class in the country. I know you guys hate these type of questions, but I'm going to ask one anyway, Bank. Who might be next to join this class? You can name more than one. Who are some guys you're watching that could be next to join this 2021 class for the Buckeyes?
They're set up so well for this class. And I think just getting through, get through the playoffs here, get through the second signing day, and, once you see spring football start, these kids are going to start visiting all over the country again. And then you get into the spring game. As to who's next, I keep hearing rumblings that possibly Corey Kiner could be ready to make a decision. Maybe Mike Hall is ready to make a decision. So, it's hard to say. I do think that this class could double by May 1, because I think things are going to go quickly once they get into spring football. And I would look at the guys that visited for that Penn State game. That was a pretty nice collection of who's who of 2021 dudes. So, like I said, I think they're set up to have a much better class in 2021 than they've had in 20, and the 20 class is darn good. They could challenge for the number one overall class next year. I mean, they're going to lock up the Ohio guys that they love, and this is a tremendous class in Ohio. Believe me, this is an elite special class in Ohio. And then they're set up so well nationally. You know, the guys I would look at for them, they really need to land an elite defensive back class, I feel. So, but they're gonna hit everything across the board. Another receiver class is going to be tremendous again. So, you know, Troy Stellato, I think they're in great shape for him. It's just, you know, like I say, I'm going to do a 2021 summary here in the next couple of days of where I think they're at, and where I think they're at is a pretty good place.
That sounds good to me. Great stuff as always from Bill Bank Greene. Really appreciate it, Bank, and appreciate all the listeners tuning in to the show. Hope everyone has a great day and a happy new year. Let's hear that Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land.